Hello everyone, welcome back to another Creative Design Team collaboration video week. This week we are sharing projects using shaker elements. For my project, I'm going to show you how to create this beautiful 12 by 12 page. And I thought I'd bring something a little unexpected. Yes, this is the fabulous paper collection. It is a Halloween paper, but when you look on this side right here, do you see those really pretty stars? I thought, okay, I can totally make this layout right here using this paper collection. I'm going to bring in a little bit of glitter paper, of course. This is the brand new pine glitter paper. As you can see, it looks really great. A little bit of red, a little bit of toffee, and there you have a Christmas layout, or the beginning of one for sure. So I'm showing you a few of the samples here that I want to use, this great title right here. And let's put this layout together because it was a lot of fun. So I've gone ahead on my Cricut and I've cut all of the pieces. I've kept all of these tiny little pieces right here in this little tray for my poinsettias, and you'll see a little later in the process that I actually made them quite bigger because they were very, very small. They all come with an image that can cut the little berries. I'm thinking I'm going to use either liquid pearls, or if I can find my stickles in red, I'm going to use that. So here are the beautiful flowers. They are all cut out of the Cricut collection, and I'm going to have to link that in the description down below. I created my own title right here. It's all backed with 3D foam tape, and it's going to go with this great title. I've done a little bit of pre-stamping and assembly, so here I've got my date. I've got my great photo here, and this one here was, we were getting ready to put the Christmas tree together, and the kids were saying, "Look, Mom, we're helping." Well, I had to snap a picture, and I'm glad I did because it's super cute. All right, let's talk about this layout. So see, it is Halloween paper, and I've gone ahead and I've backed the entire sheet with some acetate. Now, if you don't have acetates or large sheets of it, you can definitely use a 12 by 12 page protector. You just cut on the stitch line and you can add that to the back side of your base page right here. So the other thing I did is I took the time to test this, and it took it took a few tries, definitely. I used a 12 by 12 sheet of fun foam, and that's going to be the entire backing for this page right here, and it lines up perfectly and the entire thing is lifted. You know, sometimes when you have an idea in your head and you try it out and it doesn't work, this one actually did, and it's actually a really good time saver. So I'll get back to that in a minute. I just wanted to show you here how I shape the poinsettias. So I've gone ahead and I've cut them all out in white, and I'm just using a stylus here, and I'm adding vein lines to all of the petals, and I'm just going like one straight in the center, and then I'm just fanning out as I go. And I really do find that by shaping your flowers or by adding a little bit of contrast, your flowers really will come to life. So when you do this process right here, I only have 3 flowers on my layout. I do all of the veining first on all of them, and then once that is done, I just take each of the sections and I pinch them up very gently. And again, I'm going to do this for all of them. So it's a little bit of an assembly line type of process right here. I'm not going to show you the entire process, but I think you see where I'm going. And I also start with the largest flower, only because when it's the first time you're doing the shaping or the coloring or whatever it is you're doing to that flower, if it's a larger flower, it tends to be a little bit easier. So here you saw that I brought in some mink ink, and it's part of the colors that I'm working with on this layout, and I am gently adding just a little bit of shading to each of the tips of these petals. Now you probably don't see it in the video, but once the layout is put together, it just gives enough contrast for the flower because it's white and it is on a light background. I think you can see it here. It just gives it, again, a little bit more dimension. So when I put the flowers together, I kind of pull up on each of the petals into the center. I want to create a little hole because I'm going to add little beads in the center. So I'm just doing this to all 3 layers. And I found that using liquid glass for these flowers, or probably any flowers that I do, is a really good glue to use for this application right here, because it's got a lot of wiggle room and a lot of drying time. So if you have to rotate your petals just to make sure that they're all offset, you actually have the time to do so. Plus, I will be using the liquid glass when I add my little gems inside the center. So for now, I have to set these aside and let them dry. And we're going to go back to the base page. So here's my base page. I've got my fun foam right at the background, and I'm lining it up on a base white 12 by 12. So when I do this, I did cut it down like a 1/4 of an inch. Because this is such a large piece of fun foam, it can kind of stretch out of shape. So you have to be very careful when you pull it off the mat. And you're going to have to fuss with the layering of the pattern paper and the fun foam. But really, once you have it in place, it's a one and done. And I thought this was a really good time saver. So I'm going to add here again liquid glass for the same reason, because once I let this back down, and you'll see that you have to be gentle. You don't want to pull on it because you can actually pull your circles out of shape. So I'm just gently tacking that down. I'm adding my liquid glass, and I can move this on the page if I need to. Now this bottom piece, you probably won't have to move it, but when you add your pattern paper on top, you'll see the benefit of using liquid glass so that it kind of slides right into place. So I'm just going to press this down really gently, and you see how that pops right on top? I was pretty excited when this actually worked, because sometimes, you know, some creative ideas don't always work, but this one did, so this was a lot of fun. All right, so I'm making sure that everything is lining up. And now I get to fill in the circles. So I did cut a lot of circles here, and it's all part of the creative process. And I'm going to add one right in here. I want to color some of these only because depending on what I'm adding inside the circle, what kind of shaker, what kind of glitter, what kind of gems, you kind of need a contrast, not just the white. And these little circles pop right into the center. I think I want something different for that one right here. But for the most part, I'm not sure if you're picking up on this. So what I'm doing is I'm adding those circles and I'm creating a visual triangle with them. So I'm going to add another dark one right here. And then I'm going to repeat that process with the Seabrook color. So I've got one right here at the bottom. And then you see you've got that visual triangle. It always comes back into play with clusters, anything on your page. It's just a really nice balance. So I'm going to add another one right here. And I can actually pop that in there inside, right underneath the foam. And I just found that this worked beautifully. I just couldn't see myself using 3D foam tape all around the circles, all around the base page. I'm sure it's doable and I've seen it done before, but this was just a different way of putting this page together. Now remember I said I wanted different colors, so I'm going to introduce here a little bit of glitter because after all, it is a Christmas layout. So I'm going to add right here a little bit of gold, and then I'm going to complete my little circles with silver. Again, I'm doing that visual triangle, and that gold one is kind of like that pop of color, the accent color if you want on the page. I am going to leave that little one beside the gold white because the little gems I want to put in there are colored. I think that this is looking pretty sharp. I like the way that this is all turning out. All right, so now for the fun part, adding all of the little sequins inside all of those little circles. I was also pleasantly surprised that I didn't have to deal with a lot of static. I'm not sure if it's because I'm using such a large piece of fun foam, but I didn't have a lot of static for whatever reason, because usually when you pop the top, that kind of covers the shaker element, they all kind of glue to the back side of the acetate. It didn't happen for some reason, so I'm not exactly sure why, but I was actually very happy. I'm going to make sure that I've got the right amount of glitter and shine and sequins here and there to create a nice balance on this page. Now I've gone ahead and I added my little star acrylics on the top, and right here I did add a few of those really nice gems, and of course some gold and some silver. And I wanted to bring back this piece right here. I took the title from it, I took the little stars from it, and these ones here were from my stash. I can't remember which collection they were from, but they just really looked good with this layout. So as I mentioned to you, I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to add liquid glass, and I did put liquid glass all around the circles and all around the edges. And because it's that foam and the liquid glass together, you'll see that it's going to give me just enough time to slide that into place, because they do fit together, but they will need a little bit of convincing. So you can see here that I'm popping that on, and you see how it just moves a tiny little bit. And I did have quite a bit of working time to do this, so I wasn't stressing out too much, because sometimes when you glue something down and it's down and you can't lift it, it can be a little stressful, but for this it wasn't. So I'm going to work directly on my layout. It's right here underneath. I'm adding a little bit of pressure to make sure that everything sticks together well. And I'm going to finish my little flowers right here. They're all nice and dry. So I'm coming back with the liquid glass and I'm adding all of those little beads in the center of the flowers. Now you can add sequins here, you can add whatever you have in your stash, but I've got lots of little beads, so I thought, why not? Let's use them up. Now back to these small pieces. Well, as you can see, they're tiny. They're very, very small. And I wasn't a fan of the Seabrook color. Plus, I found my stickles. So I thought, okay, I'm going to cut these up a little bit bigger, and I'm going to use the new pine on the light side, and I'm going to add here some diamond stickles on all of these, and once they're all dry, they look really, really good. So I'm really glad that I kind of changed the size on these small little pieces. It makes it so much easier to add the red stickles right here. You could always cut these out of cardstock, but I found that the stickles was really pretty. You just have to let it dry completely before you can finish your layout. So this is a good time to take maybe a little well-deserved break once you're done this part right here. All right, so I'm going to once again set this aside to dry. I'm going to move my flowers and we're going to go back to the base layout. I'm going to add my photo, but before I do that, I'm going to add a little bit of ink distressing. So you can see that everything here is quite light in color, but I do like it. And remember, this was a Halloween paper, so I was pretty happy that this turned out and it looked so Christmassy. So my flowers are all nice and dry. I've got my little pearls right here in the center, and then I've got these really cute little sprigs and the little berries. They do take some time to dry, but once they're dry, they're totally worth it. So we're going to go ahead and assemble this page. The other thing I used were these little stars. So these little star acrylics were in the center, just like this layout right here. And they also used different stars, and I wasn't sure what they were at the start, and I realize now that they're part of the paper collection. I didn't use the white gloss because I didn't think it was going to show up that much. And in my stash, I found these great stars from the Decked Palms. Those were acrylic shapes that I had purchased last year, and I didn't get a chance to use it. And this little frame here comes from this right here. So I've got my great title, I've got the frame, the little hearts, and I thought that by adding a little piece of that frame, it just brought that onto the page and it completed that look. And we're going to add our gorgeous flowers here on top. And I like to kind of use foam dots only to elevate them a tiny little bit. This way, when I'm adding the little berries underneath and the little sprig, it just makes it a lot easier. So we're just going to add those to the page. And I'm going to move my little stars around. And we're almost done here. All right. I just had to bring one more thing. So these are the new red dots. And as you can see, there's dots, there's stars, there's little hearts. And if you look on the inspirational page that I did, they also added those cute little hearts, and I thought, why not? It just adds that little pop of red that I needed. I'm just going to use liquid glass here on those enamel stars, pop them on my page, and they've all been grouped into little clusters of 3. So you've got one right here at the bottom, I've got one at the top, and then one on the left-hand side. Okay, so I think we are done right here. This is my shaker page, and I love the way it turned out. It was so much fun to recreate the inspirational artwork from the October-December catalog that's going to come live very, very soon, and it's jam-packed of great stuff. Now, since I've got you thinking about Christmas, the creative design team are at it again. We are starting to work on our 31 days of Christmas cards for 2022. Here are all of the cards we did in 2021. If you'd like to get some more information on how to register with the early bird pricing, that will be listed down in the video description. You can get all of the information you need right there. Don't forget to come back and check out what Carrie has to share with you. She's going to have an awesome project using shakers too. Have yourself a fantastic day. I'll catch you in the next video.